So we got some massive news for you guys, and it comes from the top of the food chain. All right, so credible, very credible people, and NIO is in negotiations with a very big auto company to, you know, take over their factory. Okay, so there's several things that really line up, and I'll explain what this all means. So first of all, NIO CEO has said recently, just a few days ago actually, that they are looking for a outsourced production to produce the cars internationally, and perhaps that way you can avoid tariffs and that kind of stuff, sort of dodge the EU tariffs. And so they're going to do that for the cars, mostly Firefly cars, according to him. And very interestingly, before a while ago, there was that massive rumor that NIO was trying to take over a Audi factory, but apparently NIO CEO denied it, saying the fact that if Audi can't even afford that factory, how can we afford it? Denying those rumors, of course. But according to someone at the top of the food chain, it's not Audi. What is Audi's parent company? It starts with a V, all right? So they're in negotiations with that company to, outsource production of certain NIO vehicles and Firefly vehicles abroad for international purposes. And that way they can really reduce tariffs. And also shipping cars from China abroad does really make the cars more expensive because shipping fees aren't cheap, so to speak. So they're exploring that avenue, but it's not signed up on paper yet. I'm sure if it gets signed up on paper and negotiations are done, then they will definitely announce this. But right now, it's just information coming from the top of the food chain, and that's all we know. The car company that starts with a V, you guys know what it is. Audi's parent company in talks with NIO. All right, more like NIO's approaching them for talks. So I don't want to get in too much trouble for this, but yeah, you guys know. All right, some other very interesting rumors. All right, apparently NIO is looking to completely refurbish their interiors of the existing vehicles. So kind of like the ET9. The ET9 has a very different interior of the car. And they're looking at potentially calling this platform 2.5, NT 2.5, whereas, it's still, the exterior design is still pretty much the same, but the biggest overhaul is the interior. Because being very honest, right, the interior of NIO's still vertical screens and no rear entertainment screen unless you go with the executive version of the ET7, which is, not for everybody. People want an SUV and they want entertainment. And the Envoy, even Envoy has a rear entertainment screen. The brand new P7 has a small rear entertainment screen. So it's something that is missing, all right, on NIO vehicles. So there are rumors that NIO will completely refurbish and change the interior of their existing vehicles going into 2025. And when they launch new vehicles in 2025, those vehicles will, of course, no longer have vertical screens, but they will be more or so the same vehicles from the outside compared to what they have offering right now, but the interior will be very, very drastically different with horizontal screens. It'll be very interesting to see if they're going to update the car's guts to 900 volt as well, because that's something that they need to do as well. So it could just be completely changing everything in the car except the outside look, right? Because I gotta say, the outside look is very appealing. It's very good. The design of NIO's always beautiful, always lovely, very romantic, so to speak. So there's nothing wrong with the design of the car. Every time you see ET5, you just got to look at it because it just looks so damn good. But definitely, I hate to say it, the interior is kind of not to what people's standards are today in terms of like the layout. So it's very interesting that there's a rumor suggesting that they're going to do this. And it's very interesting how last year during NIO Day, NIO CEO never called ET9 NT 3.0 platform, because they always clearly say this is NT 1.0, like my vehicle is an NT 1.0 car, and then you have NT 2.0 car. The distinguishing thing is the LiDAR, and then everything else is also very new. They never said the ET9 was NT 3.0, which is very interesting, okay? First of all, they might have omitted that in order to not hurt sales of existing NIO vehicles, because if you say, hey, NT 3.0 is coming out, then why would people still buy the NT 2.0, right? So they might have omitted that because of that reason, but also possibly because what you're seeing with the ET9 might not be fully NT 3.0. Some people are saying that the ET9 is NT 2.5, more like a step up, right? The interior is very different. You still maintain the LiDAR and you have side LiDARs. But for in my personal opinion, that should just be NT 3.0. So I'm not too sure what the distinguishing factor between 2.5 and 3.0 would be, right? Because we don't have a metric to measure upon, right? We don't know if the ET9 is full NT 3.0 or if it's just NT 2.5. So that's something to keep in mind. They're definitely rushing to get this car updated. The NIO line of vehicles updated, 900-volt horizontal screens, more rear entertainment screens, give customers what they want, add the massive freezer fridge that Envo has in the vehicle. So definitely they're progressing to a very good point. And then a bit to touch up a bit more on the factory, all right, the factory partnership. Look, I feel like it's going to happen, all right? I feel like it's going to happen. Whether or not it's with this car brand or with that other car brand, it's definitely going to happen because they need to find a way to avoid those EU tariffs if they still want to succeed. They either pull out of Europe, which would really look bad, all right, and I don't think they do that. They've already placed down so much infrastructure. It just doesn't make sense. But it also doesn't make sense to import cars from China when you have the massive 100% tariff. So really, this approach is a must-do approach. And also, of course, though that factory in Europe, all right, that they're working with a V company, negotiating, all right, not done yet, but negotiating. Once that factory is up, that factory will also produce cars for the Middle East, right? And then possibly also produce cars for the US. Because remember, there's the tariff on China, all right, exports from China, but what about exports from Europe? BMW exports cars from Europe to the US, right? So that might be taxed more favorably for NIO compared to cars produced domestically in China. So that really makes sense that they have a factory in Europe for their global expansion efforts. And that, I hope, well, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen, all right? So that's a big wrap up. As always, stay safe, stay healthy. Peace out.